Have you ever had that quiet moment, maybe standing in front of a mirror or lying awake at night, when you ask yourself, who am I? Really? Not your name, not your job, not your face, but the deeper I, the one who sees, who feels, who lives behind your eyes. It feels like there's someone inside us, doesn't it? A solid self, something permanent, a soul maybe, an inner core that stays the same, even as we age, change jobs, lose people, fall in love. Across cultures and philosophies, this idea is everywhere, that there's a real me behind the scenes, steering the ship of life. But then, here comes the Buddha, with a gentle yet radical message. What if that self isn't real? Not in the way we think anyway. In early Buddhism, there's a powerful teaching called Anatta, the doctrine of no self. It doesn't say we're empty or meaningless, but it does say that what we usually think of as me is just a process, a flowing combination of body, thoughts, feelings, memories, and awareness, constantly changing, moment by moment. Like a river that never stands still. And here's where the real mindbender comes in. If there's no fixed self, then who gets reborn? It's a deep question, one that might seem strange, even impossible at first. But what I love about the Buddha's approach is this. He doesn't ask us to believe blindly. He doesn't say, take my word for it. Instead, he invites us to look, to investigate our own experience. Think about it. Have you ever caught yourself acting completely different in one situation compared to another? Or looked back at an old journal and wondered, was that really me? Where did that version of you go? Maybe you've already sensed it. You're not as fixed as you think. Your thoughts change, your emotions shift, even your beliefs evolve. So the Buddha says, don't look for a permanent self hiding inside. Instead, observe what's happening right now. The breath, the tension in your shoulders, the flicker of a thought, the rise of an emotion. Notice how all of it moves, like wind across a field. And maybe, just maybe, that's where the answer to rebirth lies. Not in someone coming back, but in something continuing. A process, not a person. A pattern, not a prisoner. It's not about rejecting who you are. It's about seeing more clearly what you really are. So, who are you really? That's not a question to answer. It's a question to sit with. Let's pause for a second. Have you ever tried to figure out what makes you, you? Not in a philosophical or scientific way, but just as a human being sitting with their own experience. You close your eyes and there's a body. There are thoughts, feelings, memories, a voice in your head. But if you try to find the exact center, this thing called me, it's surprisingly hard to pin down. The Buddha understood that. Over 2,500 years ago, he broke down what we usually call a person into 5 basic parts, called the 5 aggregates, or in Pali, khandhas. These aren't abstract ideas. They're what you're experiencing right now. The first is rupa, the body, flesh, bones, breath, all the physical stuff. Then comes vedana, feeling. Not just emotions, but every moment's tone, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Next is sanya, perception, the way we recognize a face, a smell, or the sound of our name. Fourth is sankhara, mental formations, our habits, thoughts, intentions. These are the seeds of karma. And finally, vijnana, consciousness, the awareness that lights everything up, but never exists alone. These 5 come together, and for a moment it feels like me. But here's the catch, none of them last. They rise and fall, change and shift over and over again. Just like a river, always moving, never the same. Now most of us cling to these parts. We say my body, my thoughts, my feelings. But the Buddha gently pointed out, this clinging is exactly what creates suffering. Because we're holding on to something that never stays still. And when it does change, when we get sick, when someone leaves us, when our beliefs collapse, it hurts. Not because change is cruel, but because we expected things to stay the same. So what if we saw it differently? What if we realized we're not a fixed thing, but a beautiful, flowing process? Not a solid self, but a dance of body, mind, sensation, and awareness. It's not cold or nihilistic, it's freeing. Because if there's no unchanging self, then there's also no fixed prison. There's space, there's movement, and maybe, just maybe, there's peace. Most of us grow up thinking of life as a straight line. You're born, you live, and one day you die. End of story. Curtain falls, fade to black. But the Buddha offered a different lens, one that changes everything. According to early Buddhist teachings, life isn't a single chapter. It's part of a long, looping cycle called samsara, the endless wheel of birth, aging, death, and then birth again. Not as punishment, not as magic, but as a natural result of cause and effect. At the center of this cycle is something subtle but powerful, Tanha, a deep thirst. It's the craving to exist, the urge to feel good, to avoid pain, to become someone. Have you ever noticed that tug inside you? That constant reaching? We want to be seen, we want to matter, we want to avoid suffering. Even when we try to sit still, the mind keeps reaching for something. That's Tanha at work. And every time we act on that craving, through our choices, our speech, even our thoughts, we plant a seed. That's karma. Now, karma isn't some cosmic scoreboard. It's not about punishment or reward. It's about intention. Think of it like planting in a garden. You drop a seed, maybe you forget about it, but when the right conditions come, sunlight, water, it sprouts. Some seeds grow fast, others sleep beneath the soil for years, but none of them vanish. They wait, quietly. Even after this body dies, those seeds, those patterns of mind and action, continue. Not because a soul travels, but because conditions do. The Buddha described it like lighting one candle from another. The flame continues, but nothing physical moves. It's not you that jumps from body to body. It's the pattern, the momentum, the imprint of choices made and habits formed. This is how rebirth happens, not by magic, but by momentum. It's not someone going through rebirth. It's something, a process unfolding when conditions align. And the beauty is, when we understand the process, we can begin to shift it. We can learn to stop feeding the fire. We can step off the wheel. So maybe the better question isn't, who gets reborn? Maybe it's, what am I fueling right now? We often think of rebirth as something mysterious, even mystical, like a soul floating into a new body, or a spirit being reassigned by some divine force. But what if it's not like that at all? In early Buddhist teachings, rebirth isn't magical, it's mechanical. Not cold and lifeless, but lawful. It unfolds naturally through a chain of causes. And at the heart of that chain is one quiet force, intention, or in Pali, cetana. Think about it. Every thought, every word, every action you take carries energy. It's like planting seeds in the soil of the mind. This is karma, not reward or punishment, but potential. Some seeds sprout immediately. Others wait for the right conditions. But they don't disappear. They stay. They shape what comes next. And here's the thing most people miss. There's no self that carries these seeds across time. No soul hauling a suitcase of karma from one life to another. Instead, what moves forward is a flow, a continuous current of consciousness. In Pali, it's called Chitta Santati, the stream of mind. It's not a fixed identity. It's not a ghost. It's more like a wave that keeps rolling, shaped by the wind of past intentions and the ocean of present conditions. So what happens at the end of life? Buddhism describes a final mental moment, kuti chitta, the last flicker of consciousness. This moment doesn't emerge randomly. It bends toward the strongest habits we've cultivated, the emotions and thoughts most familiar to us. And then without pause, there's a new spark, padisandhi vinana, the linking consciousness that arises in a new body, a new mind, a new life. Not because a soul jumped, but because the stream continued. Like lighting a candle from another, like an echo bouncing forward even after the voice is gone, or a seal pressed into warm wax, leaving shape and form, but moving no substance. Rebirth, in this view, is a continuation, not a transfer, a process, not a possession. And that is both humbling and empowering. Because if no one owns this stream, if it's not someone being reborn, then we're not prisoners of our past. We're gardeners of the present. Every choice you make now matters, not because you'll carry it in a bag to some afterlife, but because it shapes the wave you're riding and the one that's still forming. So maybe the better question isn't, where will I go? But rather, what am I becoming right now? When we hear the word rebirth, most of us imagine something far off, something that happens after death, maybe in another life, maybe somewhere else. But what if I told you it's happening right now? According to early Buddhist teachings, rebirth isn't just a future event. It's a moment-to-moment experience. Every thought, every emotion, every breath is a tiny birth and a tiny death. In Pali, this is called kanika marana, momentary death. It sounds dramatic, but it's actually happening so fast, we rarely notice it. A thought arises, it lingers for a heartbeat, and then it fades. A feeling comes, it swells, and then it shifts again. Even the you that's listening right now, your attention, your mood, your body posture, isn't the same as it was just seconds ago. So, where is the permanent self in all this? The truth is, it's not there. Not in the way we often imagine. We're not a solid eye standing still in the stream. We are the stream, fluid, ever-changing, never the same from one moment to the next. And here's the practical beauty of this truth. If each moment is fresh, then we're not stuck. We're not bound by our past or by some fixed personality we've always carried. We can shift, we can grow, we can let go. That moment of frustration, it passed. That old version of you, the one who used to react with anger or fear or doubt, it's not here unless you invite it back. This is what makes the present so powerful. Right now is where the transformation happens. Every word you speak, every action you take, every thought you choose to feed, it shapes the next moment, and the next, and the next. That's karma in motion. Not in some far-off life, but in this very breath. We're constantly creating and becoming, not once, but thousands of times a day. Rebirth isn't something you wait for, it's something you're living. So the question isn't, what will happen when I die? Maybe the more important question is, what am I birthing in this moment? And if the answer doesn't feel right, breathe, let go, and begin again. Because this very moment, it's a brand new life. So now we've traveled through some big ideas: rebirth, karma, craving, the ever-changing nature of mind and body. And here's the truth that ties it all together. There is no fixed self, no solid me passing through time, just a stream of causes and conditions, constantly unfolding, reshaping, letting go. When we really see this, not just as a belief, but as something we feel in our bones, it changes everything. Rebirth isn't someone being recycled, it's a process repeating itself. A process fueled by craving, by clinging, by that silent urge to be, to have, to hold on. But here's the most powerful part. If the process is fueled by something, it can also be unfueled. It can slow. It can stop. This is where freedom begins. Not by escaping life, not by chasing something better, but by seeing clearly, breathing deeply, and letting go. The Buddha didn't ask us to believe in miracles. He asked us to observe reality, to watch how mind and matter move, to witness the dance of impermanence, how everything rises, fades, and rises again. And in that seeing, something remarkable happens. We no longer need to be at the mercy of the wheel. We can step off, not with violence, not with fear, but with wisdom, with stillness, with love. And here's where it all becomes very human. Because this life, the one you're living right now, is rare, precious. The Buddha said that being born human is like a turtle surfacing in the ocean and poking its head through a floating ring. It's that unlikely, which means this moment matters. We don't need to wait for a next life. We don't need to carry guilt from a past one. We have this breath, this chance, this knowing to observe, to listen, to practice, to walk gently, steadily, toward a peace that doesn't come from getting what we want, but from understanding how things truly are. So, if you've ever wondered what's the point, maybe it's this: to wake up, to let go, to love without holding, and to be free, not someday, but now. because the door to liberation is always open. And the step begins right where you are. If this message of peace and mindfulness has touched your heart, don't let it stop here. Please support this journey by hitting the like button, sharing this video with someone who needs calm and wisdom today, and subscribing to our channel for more teachings of compassion and enlightenment. Together, let's spread the light of the Dharma to every corner of the world. Thank you for walking this path with us.